I'm going to try to see if I can make some sense out of this. I guess it's a small insight in which, in and of itself, this insight plays a larger perspective within the landscape I'm navigating. In fact, probably the landscape that is the only thing I really do. As a volunteer crisis counselor for over 4 years, there is one absolute I can speak to with great confidence. The majority of the younger folks, the kiddos, the teens I chat with are deeply insightful. They can speak in great depth, in detail, what's going on within them. They can speak with an intelligence that just blows me away. And I get all jelly about it because at my age I can barely write and barely rub two brain cells together, and they're doing it. They're doing it amazingly. So I want to write to that. And to know me well, right now, I'm getting ahead of myself. So let me backtrack a little bit and see how I got here. I first started to connect the dots of these little voices I heard while I was doing my crisis counseling. I mean, I was hearing them, I was chatting with them, but it was kind of started me thinking when I read the book Suicidal, Why We Kill Ourselves by Jesse Bering. There's a link below. You can take a look at it. The book is an exceptionally well-researched and written book on suicide. I cannot recommend this book more highly. I cannot recommend it more. Though there will be a second book later on I'm going to talk about that's equal to Bering's. One chapter, Bering presents the story, and there's a link below about this particular chapter, of Victoria McLeod, a 17-year-old who jumped to her death from a high-rise in Singapore, where she lived with her parents. Her parents have moved from New Zealand to Singapore for work. Victoria's laptop contained her journal, which the parents gave Bering permission to read and quote at great length once they got it back from the Singapore police. It is a brilliantly written journal by Victoria, the account of her, a young girl's journey towards suicide. Her observations, her self-awareness is so astute, so compelling, so she understood the world around her. She could look at it in ways and wrote about it that was stunning and striking. And she specifically spoke about her peers and the sense of being on the outside looking in, which in many ways is central to teen suicide. The social aspects of it, the society that teens are in and what occurs. Though suicide is complex, very complex. At the time of reading Vic's or Victoria's journal in Bering's book, my reaction was awe. How beautifully a 17-year-old could write. All I could think of at the time was, why can't I capture words like that? I've been writing a lot. I mean, why can't I get the feelings on a page, the images so beautiful with amazing insights about me? And again, that was pretty selfish of me. That was pretty narrow-minded, that I was thinking about me when this is about a teen and mental illness and what her struggle was. But truth be told, it didn't last long. I stepped away from that part of me. And I realized that as my work as a volunteer crisis counselor required me to help those that I speak to share with me, as Vic did in her journal, but do it by not being alone. Speaking with a trusted friend, me, I hope I can gain their trust, who they do not know, but felt some connection. So though I felt I could not write like Victoria, but Victoria or the kids like her, I support. I could give them a place where they could speak their truth, their reality. And that enriched me. That, I think, made me a better person and a writer. So the more I listened and spoke to teens, I began to even better see how the majority of them have this amazing insight and self-awareness, how it's there basically on the surface if they're given a safe space, if they're given a place to share, if they're trusted and they're heard. They can plumb the depths, the deep depths of painful emotions with great words, great images, great feels, words that take my breath away at times, and give me spaces in between the words they share. There are these interstitial places where I can begin to unravel and begin to get deeper so they can steer toward their pain, so they can talk more about what they're struggling with. And I can help them. I can help them be safe. I can help them overcome if they're having suicidal ideation. I can help them a little bit. That's their secret power. These kiddos have a secret power that's untapped by us old ones, and we need to tap into it. I just finished reading the book Life Under Pressure, written by Anna Mueller and Seth Abrutyn. I'm probably mispronouncing it. Sorry, Dr. A. They investigate the social roots of youth suicide and why certain places, certain locations weather disproportionately high incidence of adolescent suicide and suicide clusters. There are sociologists who look at suicide through the lens of networks and social connections. It's a genius book, it really is, with great knowledge, great evidence. It is so well referenced, and it is a how-to guide to help teens. And you know what? Me, who can barely rub two brain cells together, it was very accessible for me. I learned a lot, and what I learned I'm going to use in my volunteer crisis counseling. So for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to go through the details of both those books. But what I want to address, and again, coming back to the story I'm trying to weave here about the kids are really bright. They have a lot to say if we allow them to. What I read in the book and what I heard was how these highly skilled and trained interviewers who've been doing this for decades were able to access teens, their parents, other workers, other mental health professionals and teachers, etc. Access their fears, their thoughts, their anger, their pain, and questions they sought answers to that mimicked what I find when I'm doing my volunteer crisis counseling. Though I am not them. My work of listening pales by comparison of what I read. I am so junior varsity, clumsy after I read what these pros do. Yet, I see how teens, when in a trusted place, with those they feel who are there for them, will share deeply. Teens have a voice that we all need to hear. We all need to hear their voices. To trust, to respect, to support. When we listen, we can do all that. I'm no genius at this. And again, I'm on this sort of repetitive, pedantic rant about listening to the kids, but maybe it'll get through. I have no special skill or ability. I just listen. I validate. I hear. I care. We all can do that, which we all can do. The kiddos need to be heard, to be trusted for their insight and their instinct. They have great instinct, and we need to facilitate that when they get to share, to feel safe to share. I believe that when the words that are inside us that are tearing us up, the words that are like jagged shards of glass cutting inside us, come out, when we share them with someone, the person we're sharing with can see them. But more importantly, they become these 3D neon words above us that we can see and say, oh, for Christ's sakes, That's what I'm really saying. And maybe it can point out a grain of knowledge, a bit of understanding to help on my journey working forward. It's not a solution, it's not a cure. It's just like, oh, that's what's going on inside me. So, to tell you what I was going to tell you again, and finally remind you, give the kiddos a trusted place to share and to listen. Those little voices are so important for them and for us. Let me do my personal postscript. Let me take a moment to talk about me, which, hey, what can I say? Don't we do this stuff about us? I want to step beyond the repeating ad nauseum to give the kids a safe space to talk, to listen, to allow them. Is that for me, and perhaps this is my needy old man self, I do this. I know I've helped others. I've had friends who've witnessed my work comment on my skills and ability, how I hear between each word, how each kid, each person I talk to is different. I address them differently. I hear differently. I respond differently. Yet, I feel lost. I do this and it feels just like a fleeting moment of meaning for others. Am I enough? Do I really? Do I really have meaning and purpose with what I do? Will I ever reach beyond my grasp? Indeed, needy me, who never sees my reflection in the mirror, is whining about doing this while imploring you to do it. So in the end, I guess what I need to understand, and again, this is sort of my video, journaling, whatever it is, since nobody watches this shit, I don't have to worry about it. Talking about what I do is my way of taking whatever little meaning or purpose I have in my life, whatever isolation I live in, whatever no sense of community that I have, that this is what I'm doing. In a way, it feels selfish. In a way, it feels like, oh, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, look at me, look at me. And it is, but I think it's more of me taking to heart what I do with with the kids I talk to. I let their words come out. I validate them. I understand them. I help them see it better. I try to do the best I can. So for me, I should fucking listen to myself and just accept it that, hey, it's okay. I got this. I'm doing it. And whether anybody ever sees it, it's like a tree falling in the woods. It made a noise somewhere. Hopefully, I made a noise somewhere. Again, you got this. I would recommend the books that I linked below. I would ask that you share this, subscribe, etc., etc. Thank you, and bless you for listening. Peace out.